Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1518 for 1518. Wow, look, we made it to a number that I don't really care about. Last show was called Herd, like a herd of cattle. And I think that was a brilliant name because also, if you listen to the show, you could say you heard it.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
A different spelling, of course, I am telling you. A different spelling, almost an Aaron spelling.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Sorry.
I meant Aaron spelling. He made a lot of great shows in the 70s. Actually, they all blows. Bad shows like The Love Boats.
Exciting and
The secret is he found a lot of women that you probably would think were hot.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Jacqueline Smith, for example, and he'd put them on his show. And he'd go, you can't
Mike's
not watch, right?
Daily Podcast.
You are glued to the screen watching it. My point being, the last name of the show that I had heard was Herd. And Herd also was in reference to how we are, as a herd society, just went right through and got a tax plan done. The tax...
Even businessmen that rob and steal and cheat from people every day, even they have to pay taxes.
Thank goodness. Look who walked in. Hi, Mark. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing?
It's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player, tell you what.
What?
I like being here at Cafe anyway. Because there's a lot of conservatives here.
what is the matter with you?
There's not a lot of Well, it's a mix. We have a group of people. That's our mix. Our crazy mix. Look who else walked in.
Hello, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. I'm the Brewmaster. Oh, boy. It's great to be back. I love to dance.
That was a little bit of German music for you. Thank you for the root beer. Hey, I spoke to a great German named Petra that I'm friends with that lives in Frankfurt, and we spoke via Skype on my smartphone yesterday on my old, I guess it is pretty old Samsung phone that I paid $1.
And here's today's podcast picture.
I paid $1 for this Samsung phone last year, and it has helped me. You know what? I don't need your fancy friggin' iPhone. I don't, because I can get what I need done with my Samsung. So I was able to Skype with my friend Petra, her name's Petra, which is also the name of a awesome rock band from, was it the 90s? The 80s? And like when they rocked, it was like hellfire coming down.
Black Betty, bam, down, whoa, Black Betty, bam, down, Black Betty had a child, bam, down, the damn thing gone wild, bam.
That's not them. But you get the idea. They were pretty rockin'. I like to say rock. The Rock, who goes just by Dwayne now. He goes by a nerdy name, Dwayne. He is so nerdy. Also, he could come right up to me and punch me in the face. Ow. Not so good. So, there's a picture. Let's take another picture from the Carmel, if I can find one. That might work. With our shoes on the beach. Okay. We'll go with this one. All right, that's one with my shoes on the beach. There you can see it at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. I might actually blanket. I can actually take the shoes out. You won't see the shoes. What? What's he talking about? Listen, if you've listened to this show this past year, you know I've had issues with my feet this year. Really bad issues. And I needed to go online and get some shoes that were brand new, that had good, solid cushions in them, and that were wide enough for my humongous feet. And so that's why I'm happy about my shoes, and you can see that picture at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. And also go there to hear all the past shows Perhaps you would like to help us out through the PayPal. We do got the Yuletide personalized MP3 for the contest still going on, but I'm not going to tell you about it here. You can listen to a past show to hear all about it. How come hot women don't text back? That's my question. Hot women don't text back. Like hot single women, I should point out. Hot single women that seem to be available. When I speak to them via text, it takes 20 years to hear back from them. What is the deal with that? They are so busy. They got so much attention from all the men, especially here in the Bay Area, where there's not a lot of women. There's like 2 women for every 3,000 guys. And why did I move here? Oh, I had no idea I was getting divorced. I thought at the time the wedding was going well, that the marriage was going well, but I was
Wrong.
Yeah, it was hard to take the fact and see that.
You can't handle the truth.
It was hard to handle the truth. But yes, time has gone by, and I realized the marriage was going in the wrong direction. So that's all I wanted to say about that. But I am still friends with the ex-wife, though the marriage collapsed. And I am friends actually with my ex-wife's mom. I spoke to her yesterday, and I think you need to, some people you need to burn bridges with, I guess, but it's good if you've got good people in your life, is what I'm saying, especially around this time of year, the holiday season, and we have those annoying bells. And that's what I wanted to talk about, was the small chips from the party I was at, the Christmas party the other day. And the small chips, I don't understand. You've got dip. You don't want really the dip on your finger. So when you're scooping up the delicious dip, why are the chips so small? And I don't know the answer to that. If you want to email me, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com with your answer, or perhaps you'd like to call it 336-MM-DAILY. That's another number. And enjoy that picture of Basil the Boxer and I at Carmel from this past weekend when we were there. Had such a great time. I also posted a picture from Monterey's Cannery Row yesterday, and the statue they've got with all the famous people like John Steinbeck from the Monterey area. They're all wearing Christmas hats in that picture from yesterday, which you can see at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. The AP fact check says the tax overhaul coming into effect is heavily tilted to the rich. It also leaves Obamacare in place, despite Trump's assertion that the tax plan repeals the health care.
We had to make the move, and we decided to make the move.
No, nothing about the plan provides the fuel to achieve economic growth at the levels he's predicted. Trump's penchant for exaggeration and sometimes pure fiction,
I know what's good and bad.
It has clouded the realities of the overhaul as it has shaped up over months. As for Democrats, you wouldn't know to hear them talk that middle-class people are getting a tax cut out of the deal, too. A look at remarks made yesterday and earlier about the tax plan Trump will shortly sign into law. Wait, didn't he sign it? Wait.
Should I sign it?
I think he's about to. No, don't sign it! No, he didn't hear me. It's the largest tax cut in the history of our country, said Trump. The fact it isn't. For months, Trump has refused to recognize larger tax cuts in history, of which there have been many, or to grant that other presidents have enacted big cuts since Ronald Reagan in the 80s. But October analysis by the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget found that it would be the 8th biggest since 1918, so in 100 years. As a percentage of the total economy, Reagan's 1981 cut is the biggest, followed by all the way back in 1945, the rollback of taxes that financed World War II. We had a war to finance. Trump's plan is also smaller than cuts that were made in years of, 48, 64, and 21 hike. Man, it was cold this morning. My nose was running. Oh, so cold here in the Bay Area. In the 30s. I know you're saying, Mike, that's hardly cold at all. But for this guy who lives in California, it was pretty cold.
All right.
Mike Pence, our vice president, said, "You're delivering on that middle-class miracle," he said as he kissed Trump's butt. The facts, modest doesn't make for a miracle. Pence's praise to the boss reflects Trump's assertion that it's a tax bill for the middle class, as he put it earlier and many times, but average people are not the prime beneficiaries of the tax cut. Aside from businesses, rich people get the most. So, the biggest benefit of the new law will go to households making $308,000 to $733,000. Okay, I know a guy who makes about $600,000 a year working for some, what is it? It's like Cisco, one of those tech companies. And he's worked for them for about 10 years now. Households making over that should get a tax cut worth 3.4% of their after-tax income. The richest people, their tax cut would be worth a little less, 2.7%. And for middle income earners, their tax cut is even lesser, which is not a word, 1.6%, according to the Tax Policy Center. And Schumer said, our, Democratic senator, he is the minority leader in the Senate, said their bill increases taxes on lots of middle-class people. The tax cuts actually are not nearly as lopsided as many Democrats are portraying them. Almost all the middle class would initially pay less in taxes, according to the AP fact checker. AP also says that when Nancy Pelosi said 86 million middle class families get a tax hike, the fact is she's ignoring all the middle class tax cuts before 2027. That year, taxes will be slightly higher for the middle class unless the cuts are extended. And who knows what will happen. We know so much happened this year. Oh, and now here, I'd like to just point this one out, and then you can check out the article. You can find it on MSN or on the Associated Press website. But the Trump said Obamacare has been repealed in this bill. And the fact is, it has tax plan and fines, that individual mandate thing for what we talked about last show, for people who don't have health insurance. That's a major change, but far from the dismantling of Obamacare. Other marquee components of Obama's law remain, such as Medicaid expansion serving low-income adults, protections that shield people with pre-existing medical conditions. And that is actually something that Trump liked. And during all this repeal and replace stuff that happened all frickin' year, that's all we heard about in political news. Well, that and the Russians and
I say it's better to get along with Russia than not.
And Mueller, and who was the guy before him, in the FBI? I mean,
it makes me mildly nauseous.
Comey, that's right. Oh, all year long. I heard about that. I will be glad when 2017 is gone for that reason, but yes, so apparently that part did not get repealed, or Trump is saying that basically to appease all his hard right followers who are like, yeah, Trump, all right, Trump, I'm a white supremacist, go Trump, yeah. And so this makes them, that placates them. Placate. I'm petting you like a cat. I'm playing, and your name is Kate. Let's play, Kate. So, yes, pre-existing medical conditions, that stays. You can't be denied coverage if you got that. Or get charged higher premiums, income-based subsidies for consumers buying individual health insurance policies. That stays. Income-based subsidies for consumers buying individual health insurance policies, and the requirement that insurers cover essential health benefits, that stays. And the mandate that larger employers provide coverage to their workers. Yes, larger employers have to continue to cover their workers, or they will face fines. Also, the tax bill doesn't repeal fines for uninsured individuals until the start of 2019. So you'll still get fined if you do not have insurance until then, more than a year from now. Meaning the individual mandate is still in force for next year unless the administration acts to waive the penalties. So that could still happen. Trump also said when the individual mandate is being repealed, that means Obamacare is being repealed because they get their money from the individual mandate. That's also wrong. The fines on people who don't carry health insurance only provide a small fraction of the financing for the program. It's minuscule, as we said yesterday. Most of the money comes from higher taxes on upper income people, cuts in Medicare payments to service providers, and other tax increases. The Congressional Budget Office estimated that fines from uninsured people would total about $3 billion this year, while the government's cost for the coverage provided under the health law would total about $117 billion. So $3 billion, $117 billion, you see. But I mean, still, to me, what, $3 billion? Jeez. Sure, okay. Hey, a group of House Republicans have quietly investigated the Department of Justice and the FBI for weeks now. Did you know about that? And also over the concerns of their improperly handling the unverified contents of that dossier that alleges ties between Trump and Russia. And this thing goes on to mean, you know, Trump had Deutsche Bank connections, and Deutsche Bank completely and Deutsche Bank has connections to Russia, and Deutsche Bank forgave Trump a bunch of debt. And then there was the whole thing about Trump and prostitutes in Russia. Well, Politico reported yesterday that the group led by House Intelligence Committee Chairman Representative Devin Nunes, he's from California, yet he's a Republican, go figure, has been quietly working without the knowledge of the committee's Democrats alongside the House investigation to examine what they see as corruption in what is the nation's highest law enforcement body. The dossier, which was compiled by a former British intelligence agent. And there's a really interesting story about that British intelligence agent, that this intelligence, the guy has so much intelligence. I mean, he has data. I don't know how intelligent he is, but he has so much data about everybody, possibly even you. And so all this data he had on Trump, it freaked him out, and he had to release it, and that's what became, quote unquote, the dossier. And all this data he compiled during the 2016 campaign contained a number of salacious allegations about Trump's ties to Russia. Trump has warned personally about the dossier by the FBI, which has said the claims made within are unverified. And all these Republicans and all this Fox News and all these news agencies like RT, quote-unquote news agencies like RT, which is controlled by the Russian government in Moscow, and people that say they are unbiased news people, yet they are completely biased to and there are, people always say that, the media is liberal, but so they all keep saying over and over again, hey, this dossier is fake, this dossier is fake. And so, but lawmakers reported to be in the group would not comment about the meetings, but did not deny their existence nor the lawmakers' personal participation. And Mike Conaway of Texas, a Republican, said to Politico, I don't talk about what we do behind closed doors. He also took over the House's investigation into Russian election meddling, after Nunes recused himself earlier this year. Nunes, who stepped away from his work on the Russian probe over meetings at the White House viewed by some as improper, remember all that, has thrown the integrity of law enforcement agencies into question in past interviews. I hate to use the word corrupt, but they've become at least so dirty that who's watching the Watchmen, who's investigating these people, says Nunes. So now Nunes is doing his investigation. What will he find? There was a massive leak that exposed data on 123 million U.S. households, apparently. Let's see, researchers revealed that earlier this year they discovered a massive database that was sitting unsecured on the internet, and the cloud-based data repository exposed a wide range of personal details about virtually every American household. The leak put consumers at risk for a range of nefarious activities, from spamming to identity theft. Though no names were exposed, thank you CBS News for this story, the data set included 248 different data fields covering a wide variety of special personal information, including address, age, gender, education, occupation, and marital status. Well, they can know my marital status. You know my marital status. You know the situation. Do you know all about what I was discussing? Yeah, okay. Thanks. So, it's called the Alteryx database, and it was discovered in October in a misconfigured Amazon Web Services S3 cloud storage bucket, which allowed access to anyone with an easily obtainable account. So always check your credit. All the shows that I produce on this financial news station that I work for, they're always check your credit, check your credit card account, check your... It's so easy now to just log on to the website of whatever credit card you use and check all the things that you bought. Did I really buy that? Did I really spend that much on that? And do not ever use a debit card. That's money that just gets pulled right out. And it's, you know what? Someone actually gave me a debit gift card. So it wasn't linked to my bank account, but it was money sitting in a card. And I think someone hacked that because I don't remember spending all the money that was on it. And I went to use it one day and all the money was gone. I was, wait a minute. So that's an interesting... If I was a news full-time journalist, I would investigate that. But you would have to fund me, and you don't want to do that. What? No,
A soldier fled across the world's most heavily militarized border on Thursday to defect to the south.
This morning, a North Korean defector crossed over from the Midwestern side of the border.
According to the South Korean Defense Ministry, surveillance equipment detected the soldier through heavy fog just after 8 a.m., and no shots were fired.
There was no activity from the North's army before or after the defection.
But local media reported a more chaotic scene, saying South Korean guards fired about 20 warning shots at the North's troops who were scouring the border for the defector. Last month, another North Korean soldier suffered critical gunshot wounds during a similar dash across the demilitarized zone.
Yeah, the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea, and somebody defected as they were getting the heck out of North Korea. Wow. That in the news. Also, the Confederate statue removed in Memphis. They're taking it down now, as you can hear the people cheering. The city council had earlier voted unanimously.
History is being made in Memphis tonight. Within the next few hours, both the Nathan Bedford Forrest and Jefferson Davis statues will no longer stand in our city.
There's a Nathan Bedford Forrest statue just outside of Nashville, and it's got like a big pole that holds it up, and it looks like the pole is going right up Nathan's tuchus, to use a little Yiddish on you there. Is Hanukkah done? I think, was yesterday the last night? I don't know, but happy Hanukkah if it's still going on. So Bedford Forrest, which gets mentioned in Forrest Gump, that movie, as they roll some of the founding of the nation, birth of a nation, the Griffith, DW, now I'm just pulling names from way back in that closet in the back of my head somewhere. Yeah, it was the Birth of a Nation, that really racist movie, and I think that had to do with Nathan Bedford Forrest as well. But so that's gone, and yeah, the city council had earlier voted unanimously they're going to sell 2 parks where the Confederate statues were located. So they had to go. They had to get. The Apple slows your iPhone as the battery ages. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Did you know that? Do you know that? Somebody on this show says that. But doesn't give you a cheap way to replace it. Apple is taking heat for a discovery about old iPhones. As their batteries age, Apple's software slows them down. It's the software that slows it down. Screw you, Apple. The phenomenon, discovered by Reddit members and acknowledged yesterday by Apple, throws gasoline onto a long-standing conspiracy theory that iPhones slow to a crawl as a sly way to convince us to buy new ones. What is that called? Planned obsolescence. Thank you, Apple. Another reason why I hate them. And now that the federal telecom regulators have repealed net neutrality, it's time to brace for the arrival of internet fast lanes and slow lanes. You, listening to the show, will always get to listen to the show through a nice slow lane. Take a nice leisurely drive as you're driving along in your old jalopy. And yeah, jalopy. I could sure go for a frappe. The net neutrality rules just voted down by the FCC prohibited such paid prioritizations, as it's technically known. That's when an internet provider such as Verizon or Comcast decides to change services like YouTube or Amazon for faster access to users. Firms that decline to pay up could wind up in bumper-to-bumper slow lanes. Thank you so much, Idiot Pie. Next show, that's my slur for him. Idiot. I'm calling him Idiot. I know it's a Jeep, but I'm going to call him Idiot. Next show, we'll have the wonderful Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. What do you think about all the stories we covered today? You can call me 336-MM-DAILY, 336-MM-DAILY, or email me mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you were placated, and you get to play with Kate, and you get some big chips in your life today. Big chips for the delicious dip. The dip called life.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!